tonight, Iran's nuclear ambitions, they are officially dead. It appears the United States just completely obliterated Iran's top secret Fordow nuclear facility with 6 huge bunker buster bombs. It was originally speculated that you would only need 2. It turns out they used 5 to 6, dropped from America's stealth B-2 bombers. And that's not all. 2 other major Iranian nuclear sites, Natanz and Esfahan, were wiped out with
Esfahan, the streamer?
30 Tomahawk missiles launched by American submarines some 400 miles away. Everyone is out of harm's way for now.
That's good to know. Great. According to AP News, Trump told Hannity this personally, if I saw correctly. So, you know, take from that what you will. We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. That's true. We're the only ones of those bombs. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. Now is the time for peace. Buddy, this isn't the time for peace. We have a forever war to get on with, okay? Time for peace. Come on. Get in, loser. We're dying for Israel. That's true. That's true.
Hours. I was talking with current and former sources, trying to get an understanding of when this might happen. And at 1:55 local time, one source said rumors, Trump gave the word, supposed to be happening now. We were working on tracking it down, and the president taking to Truth Social to say the Americans did indeed strike 3 separate Iranian nuclear facilities, including the Fordow nuclear facility deep underground.
Fetterman was congratulating him on Twitter. Yeah, of course. Fetterman is like a psychotic Zionist, you know? Mossad is like videos of him kid. There's no other explanation. He's like he has no other beliefs, basically.
Outside of the Iranian capital of Tehran. The bottom line here is that people are talking about enrichment. They understand that this decision was made because the Iranians were increasing their uranium enrichment capabilities and increasing the purity closer and closer to weapons-grade material. And the concern was that the Iranian regime was just weeks away from being able to build a nuclear bomb.
Ridiculous. Absolutely, like a ridiculous. They've been weeks away for decades, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Were they pursuing a nuclear weapon? Yeah, they have been for a long time. Were they weeks away? Like specifically like this week right here? Like not the previous week, then they would have been months away. But this time they were weeks away? No.
Seen over the past 9 days, the country has the ability to strike major population centers here in Israel with ballistic missiles. So you can imagine that having a nuclear warhead that could ultimately be attached to a ballistic missile would clearly be a direct threat to the Jewish state. And that would,
I mean, I sure hope Israel doesn't have any nuclear warheads that could fire even further. Would be a shame if Israel had like an official nuclear doctrine that essentially applied they were going to take the world down with them and had like intercontinental ballistic missiles to deliver them.
Was why the Israelis said that they made the decision to start these strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities and against top IRGC officials. And clearly tonight, President Trump ordering these strikes against the Iranian regime's nuclear program because there was no off-ramp for diplomacy at this point. There was that 60-day window that President Trump gave the Iranians to come to the table. 5 rounds of conversations, most of them taking place in Oman.
Do you think this will escalate? What sort of scale are we talking about here? It's really difficult to say because Iran, along with Hezbollah, are known for being the masters of, well, you look at the time, it's time for nothing. There is nothing the Iranian military likes to do more than say, this time you've done it. A reckoning the likes of which you had never experienced before is coming. And then, like, the next week, they fire 3 bottle rockets at a U.S. military base. And then they just hope everyone leaves them alone after. So I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
With Steve Witkoff, President Trump's Middle East envoy, other top American officials meeting directly and indirectly with their Iranian counterparts, but the Iranians did not want to finish a deal. And ultimately, the decision was made by Israel to launch this operation that has led to a war developing between the two countries. And then again, tonight, the Americans getting directly involved, launching these strikes with those bombers over Iranian territory. We will certainly learn more information as daylight comes tomorrow in the region. But the bottom line here is that a decision was made that will change the reality of the current war between Israel and Iran. And
we'll see if it leads to any real difference. Hold on, is this a test run of the bunker bumper? Bunker bupper. Jesus Christ. I woke up at noon today, just to let you guys know where I'm at. Bunker buster bomb they used. That's crazy. That shit just went right in. Fetterman loves this shit. Nice, nice. Bernie spoke about it live at a rally. Are we all actually dying this time? I'm begging you guys, okay? Nobody likes to World War III post like white people who know they're going to make the rent this month but are still like kind of pissed about it, okay? Please stop, all right? No, you're not getting involved. You realize that when something happens in the Middle East and people overhear World War III posts, what you're doing is saying like, well, we should make it about me. I'm scared. Like, what about them, man? Like, yeah, Iranians are in danger. We just bombed Iran, and you guys are like, dude, World War III. Well, no, it's your government, and you're safe. You live in America.
All right, let me conclude.
Oh, sir, we've started a third Gulf War. A third Gulf War has hit the USMIC.
This is a statement from Donald Trump, quote,
Decent.
"We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in
Living in
Iran."
America doesn't mean you aren't safe from a dirty bomb detonator. Stop reading Tom Clancy. Iran is not going to detonate a dirty bomb. Look, come on. That shit ain't happening, okay?
Etc.
Iranian state TV saying all U.S. citizens are targets. They say that all the time. Dude, God forbid you disagree with the white bitch. Then all of a sudden she's non-binary, PTSD, ASD, ADHD. You know what I mean? Got trauma or something. Like, come on. God forbid America declare war on non-Americans or every American suddenly the greatest risk in the world. Live in goddamn St. Louis and you people are acting like you're in Fallujah or whatever. Jesus Christ. This is like a particularly bad, like politically, to get involved. Nobody wanted Trump to do this, including Republicans, by the way, to get directly involved. Like nobody, the Iraq war is just too recent. Everyone remembers like how shit and pointless it was. You know, no one likes Israel. No one wants to get involved in a war with Iran. You know, no one wants this shit. George W. Trump over here is not going to succeed. Like he might be able to pull some people over, but this is definitely a wedge between this Palantir and him wanting to sell off like a third of the federal land in the West. It's not politically viable. Wasn't the war in Iraq not authorized by Congress? The Congress is irrelevant meaningfully when it comes to declaring war. It's just not necessary. Though in the Iraq war's case, I believe they did. Yeah. Because that was after 9/11. We were a bit more fired up back then.
Possibly create a scenario where the Iranians really have no other option than to give in, because the president has hit them so hard with these strikes, and the Israelis are continuing to take out their top military leadership, that the country is in a state of disarray. And so the bottom line...
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, that was right. We never officially declared war, but the use of boots on the ground was approved by Congress.
...is that these strikes tonight show not only solidarity with the American ally in the Middle East, Israel, but also they show that the region is at a crossroads here. There are clear decisions that will have to be made by the regime officials that are still alive and by the country's supreme leader and the country's president, Masoud Pezeshkian. And so certainly more hours ahead, we'll learn that information. But again, the bottom line tonight is that the decision was made by President Trump to take out, in effect, these nuclear facilities that the Iranians were using to enrich uranium closer and closer to weapons-grade material. You might remember back during the nuclear deal that President Trump pulled out of.
Manufacturing consent. I'm unironically asking, of course, is there no chance a 9/11 will happen here again then? What? Because Iran's Muslim? You think they're gonna... Not even the right type of Muslim to do a 9/11, okay? That's a Sunni thing. Only Sunnis possess the unique physiognomy required to plot a 9/11, okay? What are you talking about? You sound insane right now. It's not about you. Listen, a 9/11 happens once a year is the thing you have to understand, okay? But in Iran, 9/11 happens, 2 to 3 times a year. Maybe. I haven't done the math.
Do we have Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon? Can we get her up and we can talk through what we're hearing from military sources? Jennifer Griffin.
The biggest threat right now is sleeper cells. Who is inside the country with malicious intent? What are they planning right now? That's you guys. That's a VGG chatter.
Griffin is live at the Pentagon.
Peter Griffin.
Let's bring Jennifer in. Jennifer, we're just getting word, obviously, with the president's announcement, what this looks like.
Well, Brett, we knew that there was something afoot this morning when we woke and heard that there were 6 B-2 bombers that had been seen leaving Whiteman Air Force Base last night at midnight. And so those planes, we were told, were heading towards Guam. Now, Guam would have been an 18-hour flight into Iran, so it is likely that it was a different set of B-2 bombers that were used to bomb the sites, the 3 sites that the president mentioned tonight on Truth Social. That is the Fordo complex, which we've been watching all week. That is the massive main, sort of what's known as the...
Watch the handy clip. Does he describe explicitly? Okay, this is a minute long rather than 30 seconds.
Fox News alert. I just spoke to the president of...
There we go. Okay, this one includes, by the way, absolutely insane that Trump said he'll address the nation at 9 p.m. PT, 10 p.m. PT, but then talk to Sean Hannity beforehand to like brag about the weapons that he used. Absolutely insane.
Of the United States. I have some new information and breaking details to share about tonight's what is historic air campaign. Now, tonight, Iran's nuclear ambitions, they are officially dead. It appears the United States just completely obliterated Iran's top secret Fordo nuclear facility with 6 huge bunker buster bombs. It was originally speculated that you would only need 2. It turns out they used 5 to 6, dropped from America's stealth B-2 bombers. And that's not all. 2 other major Iranian nuclear sites, Natanz and Esfahan, were wiped out with 30 Tomahawk missiles launched by American submarines some 400 miles away. Everyone is out of harm's way for now. That does not mean...
Okay, let's put on our thinking caps here, okay? Israel wants us to get involved because we legitimize the war. However, Israel wants a forever war, and so do lots of Americans, right? Like another conflict so we can siphon trillions of dollars into the MIC. So this can't be the final decisive blow to this conflict, you know? Because what would the point be of that? Like, obviously, Trump right now is saying, well, now that we've done the bombing, let's call for peace. But that's not the point. The point isn't to call for peace, obviously. The point wasn't to eliminate their nuclear production. There will always be nuclear production, at least in, you know, in an optical sense. And there's always going to be a need for further conflict. Because otherwise, what would the point be of this? It's not like they were actually concerned about wiping out the nuclear. There's nothing Israel wants less than to make itself unnecessary in the Middle East, which is why they were getting so scared when Trump was leaning more towards diplomacy with Iran, right? That's the reason why Israel and the MIC pushed for Trump to begin a bombing campaign or continue a bombing campaign when he was nearing the end of his talks with Iran, right? We were going the diplomatic route, and then somebody thought, you know, some Poindexter, some genius was like, hold on, Trump might actually do a diplomacy. We can't let that happen. So they had to sit down with him at Camp David. He talked to Netanyahu as he left Camp David. That's public info. And afterwards, all of a sudden, total change of tone. Yeah, I don't think Iran wants a deal. I don't think we're going to do a deal. They're playing a very dangerous game right now. And then what happens like a week afterwards? We join in the fun. We give them a bomb. Well, 5 to 6 bombs, plus the Tomahawks. Shortest 2 weeks ever. Yeah. Here's a Twitter thread on why it's unlikely that the bomb won't penetrate Fordo. I don't like getting my military logistics analysis from Twitter threads, personally. I don't really know. It doesn't really matter. Whether or not they destroyed Fordo is irrelevant because the point of this is to legitimize a forever war. So whether or not maybe they annihilated the enrichment facilities, maybe they didn't. Like, it doesn't actually matter, right? No matter what happened, Iran wasn't going to nuke America. I'm not really invested in this, you know? It's just the casus belli, as you people like to say, for us, you know, maintaining involvement. Nothing even happened at the site. It was barely touched at all. That's great. Also, source Twitter. Iran's in an awkward position here where they look weak if they don't attack any American bases in Iraq and Gulf states. Oh, they probably will. But Iran only has so many missiles, you know? So limit to how much they can meaningfully retaliate. So just to reiterate, this is like super bad, right? I mean, it's bad for Iran. It's terrible for Iran. If you mean bad for like the United States of America, that is, you know, that kind of remains to be seen how much we're going to commit to it, how far we're going to go with it. If you're Iranian, this is pretty terrible. Very, very bad for Iran. But yeah, you're right. It depends on how it spirals out of control. Man, this is so embarrassing for my country. I wish a more respectable seeming president did an operation like this. I would prefer no president do an operation like that personally, in my humble opinion. My partner's really worried about Iran bombing us back. Thoughts? In the United States, Iran doesn't even have missiles that reach that far. You have any idea how expensive ICBMs are? You have any idea? Iran is still flying planes that we gave them 50 years ago under the Shah. They've been holding those together with like reverse engineered self-made parts. They don't have ICBMs. And even if they did, we would deserve it. To be clear. Just to cover my end on both. On both sides of that response, okay? Just to be the devil's advocate, wouldn't it be morally justified to destroy a country's nukes before they're fully finished? No? Why? That's, I don't know, man. It's kind of complicated. It depends. Like, in Iran's case, it seems like they are legitimately constantly threatened with annihilation by foreign powers with nukes. So I don't know. It seems like in their case, I don't know, man. It doesn't take a brain genius to figure out who the aggressor is here, okay? Israel's out there bombing every country within its 300-mile radius. We're the only reason they're not doing it to Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Iran's case is the most justified IMO. The regime shucks though. Yeah. The regime definitely sucks. There's no getting around that. But at the same time, like, what are you going to do if you're Iran? Like, just sit there and be bullied forever? Like, literally forever? I'll tell you, I trust Iran with nukes more than Israel. Easily, I trust Iran more with nukes than Israel. Iranian 9/11 is going to go crazy. Okay, really quickly, because I know you guys don't necessarily mean it. Stop being racist. 9/11 was a terror plot done by a non-state entity. Iran is a country. The only reason you're bringing up 9/11 is because they're Muslim. But there's like a billion Muslims. There's more than a billion Muslims. The only tie here is the fact that they're Muslim, and it's not even the same type of Muslim. Like, again, Iran's a state. They fund acts of terrorism, but the 9/11 thing was like, there's no connection, but you know, I can only assume it's a race thing. That's what you're bringing up, or religion.